HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Kabbalat Shabbat at Temple Beth Shalom. I'm Rabbi Joanne Leuven, and I'm joined tonight by very special guest cantorial soloists, our newly minted Temple President, Vanessa Ressler, joined by Helena Crystal and Vanessa Cohen. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. I invite everyone to turn to page 6 as we say an beginning thought for Shabbat. We enter the sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to live lives of righteousness, holding them up to a vision of their truest selves. Join me. Now we, in turn, come into the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, and the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. And we begin our Shabbat prayers this evening with candles and kiddush. As we bring the light and sweetness into the Shabbat, I invite up the Gelbers for the honor. Everyone can turn to page 2 for the blessing for candles.
Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
And we turn now to Kiddush on page 5.
And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahavu ratzon,
Amen. L'chaim. Somebody can have a l'chaim for us all. Thank you for helping us lead those prayers. And we continue by welcoming Shabbat this evening on page 20 with Lecha Dodi. We will sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on the 9th verse, when I cue you, we will all rise and face the entrance.
דודי, לה 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 לקראת קלה, לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקווה, לה 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 לך דודי, לה 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 לקראת קלה, לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקווה. שמוע וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. שבת, פני שבת נקווה, לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם, נסוכה, סוף מעשה, במחשבה תחילה. לי, 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 לה 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 לך דודי, לה 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 לקראת קלה, לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקווה. Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat nekabe. La 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 lecha dodi, la 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 לקראת כלה, la 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 B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat nekabe.
We continue with the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer on page 28. As we turn now to the Shema and Be'ahavta on page 34, you may do so standing or sitting as you wish. What's more important than your physical state is where your heart is, where your heart's at. And I invite you all, as we pray together the Shema this evening, to meditate on the oneness of the universe.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Baed. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the
remember and do all of my commandments and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
For my friends who write the blog Modern Ritual, I invite you to ponder this question with me as we meditate on the meaning of Michamocha, our prayer for freedom and redemption. They wrote this week, on every Shabbat and on this Juneteenth weekend, we disconnect from the work and the rush of the week. We taste freedom. We ask ourselves, what is required of me to bring more peace and liberation in the world? We continue praying Michamocha on page 40.
Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh. Norat ilot osef eleh, Norat ilot osef eleh, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Try it with us. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim, lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, v'tagneinu b'etzach tova milfanecha, v'hoshienu le'man shemecha. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim, lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, v'tagneinu b'etzach tova milfanecha.
continue with our central prayers, the Amidah, found on page 46, beginning on page 46 and continuing on the even-numbered pages. I invite you all to rise.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Ve'othim Ma'ot Umevi Givla V'bnei V'nechem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Abraham Bezrat Sarah Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia Mori Hatal Mechakel Chayim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umidom elach melech memit umchayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'nemanata b'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom v'chalulu asela Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
We continue with silent prayer. You may do so with the words of your hearts or the words found on our pages, and when you are finished, you may be seated.
והגיון ליבי, יהיו לרצון נמרפי והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי.
Shabbat Shalom again. When I was 13 years old, I went to plenty of B'nai Mitzvah and celebrated with friends, cousins, family members, but due to a number of unfortunate circumstances, I didn't get to have the experience at that time myself. I imagined that was it. I had lost the chance. That would be my only opportunity to learn Hebrew, to learn the prayers, and celebrate becoming a bat mitzvah. Even though it was extremely disappointing at the time, I continued on and tried to forget this event that hadn't been in the cards for me, or so I thought. I tried so hard to move past it that I ended up at a Catholic university. I claimed that I did not care about Judaism, and even if I deep down didn't believe myself, I assumed it was far too late for me. I was so young, but I remember the distinct feeling that I had continued so far on a path that there was no other way to go. As soon as I stepped onto my Catholic campus during the freshman orientation, as luck would have it, I met a rabbi. He introduced me to the concept of a second chance. He assured me that despite me not having had the opportunity to become a bat mitzvah at age 13, that it wasn't too late to connect to Judaism, visit Israel, learn Hebrew, and become a part of a Jewish community. A year later, at a hotel in Jerusalem on Birthright, I had my first aliyah to the Torah, and the rest is history. This is why adult B'nai Mitzvah are extremely popular, because it's not too late to have that second chance. And I'm sure that there are people in this room who either had that opportunity themselves to become an adult B'nai Mitzvah or know of family, friends, and loved ones who have. And if you're thinking about it, I highly recommend it. I am endlessly thankful for that every day, for that second chance. And it struck me this week how important it is that the concept in this week's that concept is in this week's Torah portion. While there are different types of second chances, like the various ways that the Israelites break the rules and are allowed to make teshuvah and apologize for their actions, or a failed test that we can make up, there's a very specific type that is touched on for just a few lines of Parshat Beha'alotecha, which is the second chance after a missed opportunity or a missed moment. In the middle of the Torah portion, the text speaks again about the laws surrounding the Passover sacrifice. The language relating to this ritual makes it clear that this is a very big deal. So big, in fact, that if one did not do it in its correct time in the correct way, they would be cut off from their kin. But there were families who were not able to take part in this ritual because of unfortunate and extenuating circumstances. And for those unable to celebrate the Passover sacrifice in the month of Nisan, they had a second chance, another opportunity to do so in another month. They were able to make up for what they had missed, and there was no penalty, only celebration. I find it fascinating that in the Torah, God dictates such specific instructions for one of the most important rituals, but yet has an understanding that sometimes life's circumstances get in the way, and that's okay. This is the kind of second chance that we don't always consider. It's actually one that we don't always see. It's easier to see the other kind of second chance, as is also in this week's Torah portion. Miriam speaks unkindly about Moses' wife and suffers the consequences of lashon hara, often translated as gossip or slander, and she's separated from the community for a period of time and has a second chance to come back to the community and not commit this type of act again. This is also the type of second chance we talk about during the high holiday season, a chance to reflect on the times where we've missed the mark, learn from them, and make better choices in the coming year. But Pesach Sheni, the second Passover, is not that. The second Passover is not there for people who did something they weren't supposed to do the first time, or for the people who did it incorrectly. It's there for those who were not able to make it the first time, not by any fault or wrongdoing of their own, purely based on life's circumstances. And it's inspiring to me that the Torah outlines this kind of special second chance, this opportunity to make up for something one may have missed, proving that it is never too late. It seems that all too often, people think they're so far down a path, they've invested too much time or money or emotional currency, that they can't make a turn or decide to do something different. No matter what the path, how far in we find ourselves, or how far in a different direction we would have to go, it's really never too late. I am grateful that the Torah outlines different types of second chances to make up for missed opportunities based on a particular moment in time and make teshuvah, repentance, for what we wish we could have done differently. The second one seems more obvious and one that we talk about much more often. The first, however, is such a unique take on life, such a beautiful sentiment to have embedded in our tradition. I hope we can all find meaning in this in some way. I am sure that each and every one of us can think of something, some way we have felt we were just too late or too far into something else to take advantage of our Pesach Sheni, our second Passover or second chance, at whatever that may be. On this Shabbat, I bless us each with the strength to take advantage of these moments and seize our opportunities. Shabbat Shalom. And we continue now with our prayer for healing. We think of all of those in our communities who could use our extra special prayer for healing this evening, Misha Berach. If you are thinking of someone who is in need of our prayers, feel free to say their names out loud or in your heart as I move around the room.
Jeffrey Rose, and Jose Gutman.
Lassie Schwartz, Jay Benton. Jordan Crystal and Samantha Kleiman.
We hold all of their names in our hearts and our community as we turn to the words of Misha Berach, found on page 253. And just as we come together as a community in times of need, so too we do in times of joy. If you are celebrating a birthday or an anniversary this evening, I invite you to rise and remain standing. Any birthdays or anniversaries? Next week?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Mazel tov.
41 happy years.
Beautiful. Wow, mazel tov. If you are celebrating any other simcha this summer or have a family celebrating a simcha, I invite you to rise and remain standing. If you are celebrating a graduation of any type this summer or have a family member that is celebrating a graduation, I invite you to rise and remain standing. And if you are happy to be celebrating Shabbat with us this evening, I invite you to stand as we sing together Shehechianu. Remain standing and turn to page 282 for Aleinu. Please be seated. King David, in his psalm for Shabbat, compares the righteous to the date palm and the cedar. Let us read together at the bottom of page 96. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with the 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai! How very subtle your designs! A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. The righteous bloom like a date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in the courts of our gods. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong. It is our tradition to remember. We memorialize in so many ways, sharing stories, doing tzedakah, changing our lives, creating memorials, all to remember the names and lives of our loved ones. Tonight, we dedicate plaques in memory of Leah Lily Schindler, Harry Schindler, Sadie Stella Preter, Shlomo Budgazad, Mark Saul Budgazad, and Arthur Joel Sheldon. The poet Hannah Senish tells us that the memories of our loved ones do endure. Join me in the reading of this beautiful poem at the bottom of page 291. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. And so we remember now the moments shared and the times of companionship and closeness. And we dedicate these plaques in loving memory of Leah Lily Schindler, Harry Schindler, Sadie Stella Preter, Shlomo Budgazad, Mark Saul Budgazad, and Arthur Joel Sheldon. And in doing so, we dedicate our lives to living in reflection and honor of their highest ideals. I ask you now to join in the refrain of this beautiful poem, which is not in your prayer book, We Remember Them. At the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. Tonight, we remember Leah Lily Schindler, Harry Schindler, Sadie Stella Preter, Shlomo Budgazad, Mark Saul Budgazad, and Arthur Joel Sheldon. And we join those names with the other plaques which have been lovingly inscribed in our alcove of remembrance by family members and dear ones as we remember them as well on this Shabbat. We remember Joseph Albert, Belle L. Altman, Jill F. Arkin, James L. Berg, Dorothea Schimmel Dumas, Henry Flattow, Marvin M. Green, Geraldine A. Greenberg, Rose Holtz, Jenny Kahn, Norman A. Levitt, Sarah Lieberman, Steve Lee Marco, Hannah Mayerson, Rose S. Messy, Sarah Ruth Nixon, Paul Noodleman, Louis Packer, Helen S. Rappaport, Edward Roth, Meredith Smith, Rose K. Weiss, Marjorie Zimmett, and Zachary Lee. We also remember all of those other ones in our communities who have died at this time in years past, and we remember them on their yard site this evening. We remember Mindla Abramchik, Cindy Aronson DeCroof, George Isaac Basuk, Harvey Berman, Edward Borkowski, Abraham Yitzhak Cohen, Burton Ingalls, Minnie Farbstein, Joseph Farbstein, Emery Fleischer, Sophie Gaffin, Augusta Goetz, Barbara Leeds, Ephraim Libin, Henry Lichter, Paula Marks, Solomon Michelson, Florence Minkoff, Lester Mintz, Fred Nance, Abraham Nathanson, Florence Norwich, Bernard L. Pamstein, Itka Rage, Rita Rolter, Sheldon Rose, Sylvia Rosnick, Jean Roth, Edward Schwartz, David Sepsenwall, Abe Simberg, Mona Brav Sobel, Bertha Supper, Robert Tell, Leonard Turkel, David Whitehorn, Paula Weisenfeld, and Pepe Yanau. We also think of all of those members of our community who have died in the last 30 days and whose family and loved ones are in the period of Shloshim. We remember Michael Munchik, Howard Broad, Robert Isser, and Molly Mervis. We also remember all of those in the world who have died due to gun violence, all of those in America whose lives have been taken due to gun violence. We remember the more than 6 million men, women, and children who were murdered in the Shoah, in the Holocaust, and we remember as well all of those who died fighting so that we can live free here in America, and all of those who died so that we can have a homeland in the state of Israel. If you are thinking of someone, and if you are in a period of mourning that you would like to add to our list this evening, that you would like to add their name to our prayers, feel free to stand up and remain standing. We hold all of their names and the memories of their lives in our hearts as we rise and recite together the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'almad divra chirutei ve'almlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'v'yomachon u'v'chayei zechol beit Yisrael, b'agala u'v'zman kariv ve'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach, le'olam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'ama v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to all of us and to all of Israel, to which we say, amen. Zichronam levracha, may all of their memories always be for us a blessing. You may be seated. We continue with the announcements this evening by our temple president, Vanessa Ressler.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Try that again. Shabbat shalom, everybody. First, I just wanted to mention a big hearty mazel tov to all of our families that are on our summer Israel trip right now with Rabbi Pomerantz and Cantor Siegel. They're having their big B'nai Mitzvah celebration tomorrow. So we send lots of love across the miles, and hopefully many of you will join us next year. I also wanted to just say a quick thank you to Helena for taking the lead tonight, and for Vanessa and Alan, Miguel, and Adam for helping us look and sound good. As always, tomorrow, being Shabbat, we have 9:30 a.m. Torah study offered in person and Zoom, followed by the Shabbat service at 10:30. You can watch it here live, or of course, we have multiple platforms. We have Facebook, YouTube, our regular stream on our website. Summer hours are a little short right now. This is summer, so we have 8:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays 8:30 to 3 p.m. Check our weekly email, Temple Talk, or our website at tbsmb.org for more information about classes and other opportunities, bless you, happening throughout the summer. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Shabbat Shalom. And we conclude our service this evening with our prayer for peace, Oseh Shalom.
And Austin's going to join us.
I invite you to rise if you wish. Shabbat Shalom.